All right, we're rolling the video now.
All right. My name is Eileen Coles. I am a Desert Storm Air Force veteran. I served from 1986 to 1991. I was stationed at Ramstein in Germany. I came home, and it would seem that the Berlin Wall followed me home, because now we have a police state that makes theirs, it's like literally it followed me home. The Department of Homeland Security actually hired the guy who used to run the East German Stasi. So it literally followed me home. In 2001, I was working for Sun Microsystems in the World Trade Center, and I went to work that day, and I wasn't allowed into the buildings. I never made it into the buildings. And several hours later, I was standing in Foley Square, Federal Plaza, and the buildings came down. I did not know anybody personally who died.
What were you doing down there? Excuse me.
I worked there.
Oh, you worked there?
I worked in the buildings.
So did you go late to work? You went late to work?
I was a little late to work. I think
That's good.
I think I'm going to be. I think I'm going to be late for my own funeral, and I'm trying to, kind of. I didn't like being late today, but if I'm late to my funeral, I'm good with that. And it hasn't been the first time or the last time that they tried to kill me. But I do believe that the attack at the World Trade Center, I was placed, or they tried to place me at Cantor Fitzgerald, which was destroyed completely. They tried to place me in Cantor Fitzgerald in 1998, and I believe that that was an attempt to try to kill me. It didn't happen, because we lost the contract for Cantor Fitzgerald. This is my guiding star. This is what I take with me everywhere I go, because this explains to you who the perps are. They are cowards. They are bullies. They're not forthright about who they are or their agendas. They lie. But the key way that you can always find a perp is that they have no compassion. Eventually, that always comes out in their behavior. So this is a part of the Tao Te Ching, the Taoism from the Chinese religion. I don't practice Taoism, but I find it to be a very useful kind of a skeleton, a spiritual skeleton that fits under any other religion, because it makes a lot of common sense. The people who are doing this to us have no compassion, and this particular part of the Tao Te Ching explains why they will lose. No matter how bad it ever gets for any of us, this is why they're going to lose. They're doomed. They're on a down train. They will lose. And the way that we will win is by having compassion for each other. Moving beyond our differences. Because what they try to do is divide us with all the different things that, different religions, who has a better suntan, whatever. They always try to come between us using these differences. And it's not about, what you do with these people. It's about who you are. We need to keep it about what people do. And when people do bad things, they have no compassion for fellow human beings. And that is what tells us who they are. No matter how they lie, no matter how clever they think they are, compassion is the key. If they don't have it, you got yourself a perp. Okay? So that's how you tell who a perp is. And that's my first countermeasure. And nobody can take that from you. No matter what else they take from you. They can put you in jail, they put you in a straitjacket in a hospital, but they can't take this away from you. No matter where you are or what else they try to do to you. Okay? So that's number one. This is a short history of the things that, the types of people that are doing this to us. Operation Paperclip was when the Nazis were experimenting on the people in the concentration camps War II era OSS morphed eventually into the CIA, and this went on. On the other side of the pond, the Japanese were doing terrible experiments, war crime-like experiments, vivisecting people without anesthesia. They were live on the table, no painkillers, they were just cutting people open, okay? And this was all done by a Unit 731 in the Chinese province of Manchukuo, which is essentially Manchuria, okay? When the Allies heard out, these people who would become the CIA heard about this, they said, oh, more weird experiments that we can't get blamed for. Let's find out what they did. And that morphed into The Manchurian Candidate, which was a 1962 movie, which was remade later on, I think with Denzel Washington. And this program eventually became MK-Ultra. MK-Ultra was also called the Monarch Program. We were told between 1973 and 1977 that MK-Ultra went away. That's a bullshit lie. And I'm here to tell you that not only while I was serving with a TS-SCI clearance at Headquarters USAFE in Ramstein, running their intelligence system, I was just a computer geek. I was not an intel operative. I received no training like that whatsoever. I had 300 of those people who were my users. And if something happened with the computers, I would go fix the computers. Because I had to fix everything, I was cleared to see everything. But nobody ever told me what it was. And it wasn't my business. I wasn't supposed to ask. If I got too curious, there would be problems. But I will tell you this. One of the things I saw in that system was those words. And when I got processed in December of 1991, and I went down to get my medical records, that was on my file. 1991, December of 1991, 20 years after Billy Bob Clinton said that they shut that down, that was on my medical file. Now, once I didn't even know what it meant at the time. And I said to the doctor, what is that? And he looked terribly mortified and he said, oh, that doesn't belong there, I'll take it off. But he didn't tell me what it meant. I found out later, and I realized what they had been doing to me in the military was they were experimenting on me with H1N1 flu vaccines. I was told that I had to get this vaccination, the flu shot, every October. And it was mandatory. If I didn't get it, I'd be in trouble. I got the flu anyway. I would get the flu religiously, like clockwork. January would come, and I'd have a raging bronchial pneumonia. And it happened over and over again. Sometimes I got the flu twice in a year, even though I was getting the flu shot. I thought I was having a reaction to something in Germany, that I was allergic to like mustard. They grew a lot of mustard where I was. I thought, oh, it's a plant I'm allergic to in Germany I've never seen before. Maybe when I go back home, this will stop. It didn't stop. It only stopped when I stopped getting the flu shot. And that was how I figured out they were experimenting on me. That was what that was. But that wasn't the only stuff that they were doing to me.
What if they want to experiment on us? They can do it on some animal, right, or whatever, right?
Because it's, first of all, it's if they're more in a hurry to get something passed, on the market, on the shelves, it's easier to grab some people off the street. And I'll address the other reasons why they do this to people, as I go on. So essentially, this program wasn't just about me. It was about a lot of other different people. And it happened over decades. But you will notice a name that appears 3 times on this paper. That name is Rockefeller. For the entire duration, since this to current day, the Rockefellers have been involved in illicit experimentation on American citizens and human beings, just about anybody they can just grab off the street. They would much rather apologize than ask permission. And one of the more heinous things that they did, starting in 1936 and going up to the 70s, which is now, last year, 750 people brought a lawsuit about this, was was they started infecting people with STDs, mostly syphilis, but also gonorrhea, and they would just do it. They would find a way to infect these people with sexually transmitted diseases and not treat them. Notably, the people that they did this to were all people of color. Guatemalans and the Tuskegee Airmen, who were a very famous unit of World War II guys who were all African Americans. They love doing this to people of color. That is a recurring meme that happens over and over again with this behavior. It's one of the biggest agendas. Reverend Moon in 1974, right around the time that all this was going on, with the MKUltra cover-up, decided he had been imprisoned in Korea, and what that did to his head was it turned him fascist. He was a rabid anti-communist after he got out of the prison camp. I think he was there for like 5 years in Korea. When he got out of the prison camp, he came to the United States and started his cult, the Unification Church. As he was gaining a lot of support, he supported Richard Nixon while Nixon was getting impeached. And what that did was get his foot in the door with the United States Republicans. He ended up with an estate right next to the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers were very interested in Moon because his brainwashing techniques were frighteningly good. It took years to deprogram some of his people, his victims. And the Rockefellers wanted to know all about that. There's not a coincidence that Reverend Moon had an estate right next to Rockefellers for all this time. So this name keeps popping up. And there's a reason. They're the ones who are funding most of this stuff. Now, this is all the standard stuff they do. We all know what it is. You know, we've seen it online. We talk about it. But this is the reasons, the backstory of why they're doing it. As I mentioned, a lot of this is a white supremacist agenda. And they will be the first to tell you, oh, we're not white supremacists. We're all Jewish. We survived the Holocaust. The Holocaust was done by these people, and they still remained in control of the central banks. Now, that family is the Rothschilds, okay? But the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Morgans, all this old money, the Vanderbilts, they're all about this. It's a big agenda with them. It shows up over and over again. They like to destroy the middle class because what they want is a return to feudalism. Fascism is kind of, it's a lot like feudalism in that you have people in power and then you have slaves. Lords and serfs, if you put it in the Middle Ages terminology. They love that. They don't want skilled labor in the middle class because middle class people, all of a sudden they want more. You know, they're doing real good and they want more. And they don't want that. They want people who are servants and masters. That's what they want. They're working very hard to get people turned off to the Second Amendment. And this is the same thing they did in Nazi Germany, and it's for the same reasons. A disarmed populace cannot defend itself when the police state eventually overruns them. So, right now we have things like what's going on with, what happened with Aaron Alexis and Myra May. They're making targeted individuals crack. Nobody falls out of the womb wanting to be a targeted individual, and a lot of people can't handle it. You gotta be very strong and tough to deal with this stuff, and you have to be wise. And they break people. It's what they do. They're very good at it. And when these people break and crack, they will go out and buy a gun because they think there's nothing else that they can do. And they take advantage of that. And then they say, well, crazies with guns, we gotta get all the guns off the street. That's not the real problem, and everybody knows it. Okay. This mostly started with 9/11, which was also an inside job, and that's one of the reasons I'm a target, is because I believe that, and I refuse to shut up about it. They very much want to discredit 9/11 truthers, because the story doesn't make sense. Scientifically, it doesn't hold water. And the more people that realize that, the more they're in trouble. They're in danger. There are millions of people who don't believe the official story about 9/11 now. And they very badly want to shut me up. inside job, because when I was back in the 80s and 90s, we could have stopped an attack like that.
Were you there when the planes hit the building?
I did not see planes hit the building, but I was there when the buildings collapsed. The weird thing about the planes, well, I was still in the subway when the first plane supposedly hit.
Did you feel the ground shake?
No, because I was coming from the north.
So
I was coming from Penn Station, and I was coming down, and I got out at Park Place, because they weren't letting people past that point, because the thing had already happened. I came outside, and the cop said, "Go north, go away." And I looked around, and it was like all, flashing lights, ambulances, cop cars. Nobody was talking about it, so I didn't look up until Foley Square. I walked north to Foley Square, and then I looked up and I saw the hole in the building. I did not hear or see the plane hit the second building, which I found kind of weird. But I was in Foley Square, which is about 1.25 miles north and east, when the buildings came down. I can easily say that that was the worst day of my life. It took me 3 days to get out of bed. I got home, and I couldn't eat for 3 days. I didn't want to be awake, and the reason was because I knew it was an inside job from day one. And I couldn't talk about it to anyone because I had a clearance, and to talk about it would violate my oath. But now people will talk about it. Now people know. People in the military, people in government, people who used to work for the CIA don't believe the official story. People who were probably cleared higher than me. There's a 2-star general named Alfred Stubblebine who used to run intelligence for the entire country. Army general. And he knows that it was an inside job. So now I can talk about it. But they want to shut us up very badly. Another reason they do this is because they're recruiting and training their future brown shirts, their future goons. Okay? So what they do is they find a guy or a lady who has a problem with somebody. Maybe it's an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, maybe they're a racist, whatever their problem is. And they'll say, "Here, you can go ahead and, here, let me show you what you can do to these people. It's fun." And they recruit these people. And they train them. Eventually, these are the people who are going to be the brown shirts of America. That's the ones who come and do crystal knocking on people. Cronyism is another one. A lot of the people doing this are construction contractors coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and they have all this information about what they used to do to the folks over there. And, it's like they bond with this stuff. It's like, "Oh, this will be fun. Let's go beat up that guy over there," or whatever. And, they bond with this, and it's basically creeping fascism. This is moving us toward a fascist police state in the United States, and we already have it. Okay, this is probably the worst picture of Nikola Tesla ever made, but that's who that is. The source of most of our attacks is this man's technology, which he tried to propose to J.P. Morgan in the very early 1900s as a way for everybody to get free electricity. And he made 2 predictions with this technology, and he actually accomplished these things while he was building these things. He built something in Colorado Springs that caused an earthquake. And then he built this thing, Wardenclyffe, out on Long Island, and he was desperately trying to get J.P. Morgan to finance this, and J.P. Morgan said, "How are we going to make a profit out of this? I don't want to fund this." He gave a little bit of money, but then he started going behind Tesla's back to people like Marconi in Italy, and a company called Telefunken in Germany. And he had contacts in Europe through the Rothschilds and everything else. And he started giving Tesla's technology to these guys because they were doing stuff that he wanted, and Tesla just wanted to do what he wanted to do. So Tesla died a broken man. They took all this technology, and what they didn't outright steel to create, modern day radio and television, they sat on for about a century, waited for people to forget about it, and then did it themselves. And that's what this is. This is Tesla's. Tesla created this, but he didn't create it to be used for what they're using it for. This technology has the ability to do what's called geoengineering. It can create or aggravate storms and earthquakes. What it does is it takes a signal and it bounces it off of the atmosphere and directs it back at Earth. And if you get good enough at directing it, you can make an earthquake happen wherever you like. So here's our buddies, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and Morgans again, saying, oh wow, Haiti is an island that's full of people with good suntans. Japan, those guys are a pain in the ass. Oh, New Orleans. There's a lot of rich Democrats down there. Hey, New York. Isn't that where Andrew Cuomo lives, down in Long Beach there? There's a lot of rich Democrats in New York, too. Let's make boom booms happen in all these places and get away with it because we can say it's an act of God. Well, it's not an act of God. It's an act of a bunch of rich assholes abusing this man's technology for fun and profit. Now, the interesting thing about Sandy is I had the dubious honor, if you will, of having to walk right the hell through the middle of it. My parents were both in the hospital at the time, and I had to watch their house because we were afraid there was going to be looting, and I had to walk about 2 miles from the hospital to their house because no taxis, no trains, nothing was running. They weren't letting anybody drive. And that was my first experience with feeling what HARP technology can do. The snow was about 1 foot deep on the ground, and there was a storm going on. It was like literally a hurricane. I was walking through the hurricane, and I noticed that I saw lightning in the sky with no thunder. And I thought, geez, that's weird. Then I noticed something else. Every piece of jewelry I had on my body was burning. My neck, my ring. And I thought, what is that, And I walked through the whole thing. Obviously, kept 10 fingers and toes, nothing happened. But it was exciting. And that was when, later on when all of this other stuff started happening to me, I was like, this reminds me of that. And I've done a lot of reading. This is the same technology that's being used to hurt us on a much smaller scale. They have large-scale technology that's meant to affect a lot of people, and they have individual ways of attacking. Another thing that I think they're doing with this type of static electricity manipulation is they're using these Gwen towers, and there's actually a good conspiracy theory episode with Jesse Ventura where he goes into that, and you can usually find them online. They canceled Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory show because he started going a little too close to what they didn't want him to talk about. So they canceled it, but the existing shows you can usually download online or watch on YouTube. And if you look for the Gwen Tower one, that's relevant to this. Now, here's the technology that's being used against us. Just basically a list. This is a way that they currently have to cure cancer. It's very popular at Winthrop Hospital. It was used repeatedly on both my mother and my father. And it's called CyberKnife. The guy who supposedly invented it says that basically what they do is they take an image of a tumor and they will burn it out of your body by crossing 2 lasers. Precision laser surgery. Non-invasive. You don't have to get cut. You don't need chemo. It burns the whole thing out of your body. But for many decades, they have also been using lasers embolism. That's what happened to my father. I'm pretty sure they tried to off my father using that method. It didn't work. He had another 20 years after they did that to him, but I'm pretty sure they tried to kill him. They killed my aunt at the age of 39 by giving her a brain aneurysm, and they killed my uncle at the age of 55 with a case of brain cancer, which they can induce via vaccinations. They made a very concentrated effort to kill the generation that my uncle and my father were a part of, people who were working for DOD on Long Island. All of them, all of a sudden, started popping off at age 55. Somewhere between age 55 and 58, boom, brain cancer, boom, aneurysm, boom, embolism. They were assassinating all these people because they knew too much. And they were getting ready to do the next thing, which was 9/11. They didn't want all these guys around. My father was an electrical engineer. He worked for Sperry for 20 years. He knew all about radar. They ultimately killed him in 2014, in October, right after his 78th birthday. And they killed him because he knew enough to be able to help me with what they were going to do to me. They went after my uncle because my uncle used to run the contracts for Sperry. He knew all the DOD people. They got rid of all these people because they knew too much. They have no compunction about doing this. There's no limit to how low these people go. Now, a lot of these attacks are meant to mimic an existing condition. If they find out that you've got some kind of thing, like if you've got cancer, if you've got, like me, diabetes, they're going to try to make it look like you're having a symptom. One recent attack was a muscle spasm attack that targeted my back on this side, the left side. And I was supposed to think that maybe something was happening to my kidney. But I know a little bit more than that, and I realized it was just a muscle spasm. But they want you to go into the hospital. They want to make you go in. Once they got you in there, they can make it real hard to get out. It's also meant to discredit you, because then you say, oh, I got this and that, and blah, blah, and yeah, and they're going to tell you, oh, that's just diabetes. Oh, that's just cancer. No, you're not being attacked by men from Mars or whatever, and they're going to make you look like you're crazy. It's very important to these people to discredit us. Now, this is a picture of what they did to my previous residence. I had a neighbor move in the downstairs. We had the upper part of the house and a downstairs tenant, okay? The downstairs tenant would flip a lot because the landlord refused to deal with plumbing issues, so they would move out because they didn't like that. So this woman moves in. She happens to be a nurse in the local hospital. And she says, oh, they messed up the cable down here. I need to get new cable. So some guys show up, and they look like CIA cowboys. They're in a white truck with a magnet on the side. That's the classic CIA front truck, okay? They don't even bother putting the paint on. They just take a magnet, and they put some name of a shell company on it. A funny thing about the CIA is that they like their Ken dolls. They like these guys that look like Ken dolls. The dark hair was real short. And so these guys show up, and being a technical person myself, I said, oh, can I see your work order? They didn't have one. Never let a contractor onto your property, whether you rent or own, if they do not have a work order to show why they're there. Ask them for ID. These guys didn't have any of that. So they had to leave. They came back later with a fake work order because, well, CIA. Okay, fine. And they started putting coax cable in the backyard. Now, we already had this part, which was going up the side of the house and running across the top gutter and down the other side. And what they did was they hooked up the rest of it, burying it in the backyard. Now, this was all coaxial cable. Cable, like Cablevision, right? And I said to them, why are you doing that? And they said, because we need to ground the property in case it gets hit by lightning. You don't use coaxial cable as grounding wire. That was a lie. I waited until the downstairs tenant moved out, and I ripped up this part of the coaxial cable, and my problems instantly stopped. Our bedroom was here, and this thing was, because it was at an angle, it was able to hit both upper and lower floors. This is what's called a loop or a resonance antenna. And this is, I'm pretty sure that this is how they do this to people in their houses. If you can find this on your house and cut it and take out part of it, you will solve your problem. Look for this. Look for weird coax in place. And by the way, when I cut this out, nothing happened to my cable. Nothing. It was not connected to anything legitimate. 40 feet of cable. This is what they do. This is one of the things they do. All right, this is our symptoms.
Wow.
Does this look familiar to people? This is the kind of stuff they do to us. Okay? One very important point. They are no longer using RFID chips to track people. They will put it on clothing, they'll put it on shoes, they'll sneak it into a bag or whatever, but they're not going to put it in a person anymore. They don't have to. They're able to read your ear canals. Your ear canal is like a fingerprint, it's unique to you. And they bounce the sound across your ear canals, and that way they're able to track you. And they're able to affect you while somebody right next to you isn't getting hit and is going, what the hell? What are you complaining about? They can also bypass the ear canal attack and go straight to your head, but they already have to have your personal signature, which they get from the ear attack. Another reason they're not using RFIDs is because they're bombing us with so much radiation that it would fry the chip. So I might be chipped. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of years ago they chipped me. But those chips no longer work. The place where you can control how well they can monitor and hurt you is your head and your heart. These are the places with the most electromagnetic energy in the human body. If you cover your head and your heart, you shield these places, you can stop a lot of these attacks.
That's where it hit me mostly. It hit me a lot in the chest too.
Yeah. Well, they didn't really want you to, they want it to be a heart attack. They want it to be an accident. They want it to look like an accident or a natural thing. Okay, these are general countermeasures to begin with. A lot of people don't have a lot of money to throw at this problem. They keep us poor, they keep us down, they blacklist us, they keep us from being able to make an honest living. But if you're careful, there are ways that you can save up and get the equipment, the stuff, which I will show you. But this is stuff that isn't going to cost you a dime, okay? So start with this. The attacks dehydrate the hell out of us. Dehydration and vitamin deficiency makes you weak, and it makes you vulnerable to other problems. They want to get us sick. So if you stay hydrated, make sure you filter your water. We started using something called a ProPure Nomad, which you can get on eBay for about $200. The filters will cost you another $60, and it filters out everything, including fluoride. If you get the lower filters, those are charcoal, and they will get the fluoride out. The upper filters get biological chemicals out of your water. If you spend that $250, it will pay for itself in what you don't have to buy in bottled water, which most of the stuff in the United States is fluoridated anyway. It will pay for itself in 3 months. So, and the best part about the Nomad is it's portable. You can take it out to your next house. You can take it. It's a little thing. It's like a coffee thing. Those like little coffee things that they set up at meetings. It holds about 2.5 gallons. It's a gravity filter. You pour it in, you wait a few minutes, boom, it's in the bottom. It's got a pour spout on the bottom. It's very useful. I've strongly recommend you get this. And it's only about $250. Neem soap. Neem is a really cool herb that comes from India, and they use this in the jungles of India as a disinfectant. It's a very, very strong antibacterial. If you get problems with your skin from the attacks, neem is the best way to keep the skin disinfected and clean and healthy.
Where do you get it?
Well, I get it, in Hicksville, there's a lot of Indian people that live in that part of Long Island, so I go down to the grocery stores there and get it. You can also buy it online. But NEEM, that's the stuff. Very, very, very potent. Protects your skin. Your ears. Here comes show and tell. These things are dirt cheap. You can get them at CVS, like 10 for $3, okay? This is essential to stop the ear attack. It also will protect your hearing because they don't care if they hurt your ears. And I've had the stuff, the heart level stuff will get so loud that it will cause damage to your hearing. These get the highest rating for decibels that you can. I think this is like 62 decibels, this stops. They're foam. Get the foam kind, don't get the other kind. This is A&D ointment. It's mostly mineral oil, you know, or you can also use Vaseline, you can use baby oil, whatever you're comfortable with. Mineral oil will not hurt your ears. You don't want to use vegetable oil because, you know, it could get, you know, bacteria in there. This is not bacterial, so you can stick this in your ears all day long and it won't hurt your ears. Okay, only use a little. You don't need too much of this. That creates a layer between your ear canals and the plug. And it will stop them from being able, you'll still feel something, but it's not going to be anywhere near what you're getting hit with. You're getting in the way of their
Where
attack.
do you get those earplugs?
CVS,
Oh,
you know,
CVS.
any drugstore has these things. People put them in, you know, if they're traveling in, you know, on a plane or whatever. They're cheap. They're very cheap. The stuff too. Okay. Head protection. Now we get to play tinfoil hat games. All right. This is going to move into the bigger part of the system. All right, that's that. This is called Under Armour. This is a very, very important part of your Under Armour. It is the hood. Okay, it looks like a baklava. You can pretend you're a secret agent man or a ninja or whatever. This covers your ears in addition to the earplugs, and you will immediately notice a difference when you put this on. What Under Armour does, I'll turn it inside out so you can see. You see the little patterns on the inside here? Now this is the tack gear. It's cheaper than the hunting stuff. Okay, but you see this pattern here? That's a layer of nano-ceramic material. There's actually ceramic on the inside of this clothing. This is the hunting stuff. This is used by law enforcement, military, people who spend a lot of time outdoors. The reason is because it is the best temperature control you can buy for your body. What you have to
Do they
do,
wear all this, the police and all that,
they wear it because they're outdoors a lot. They have to spend a lot of time outdoors, and it can be very cold, it can be very hot. This type of clothing, here's the tag. All of these should have this tag, okay? If you want to pass it around, go ahead. All of this controls your body temperature and keeps it at a steady 98.6. No matter how cold or hot it is outside. What they're doing with the cold and hot attack is they're affecting your pituitary gland. They manipulate it to release a hormone that makes you think you're cold or hot. So this is why you could be getting like a hot flash or feeling shivering at night, and it's not really cold or hot. The person next to you is going to look at you like, what the heck is going on? Now, They love to make you think that it's something, especially with women, that it's menopause. People, ladies get hot flashes during menopause, but this is not that. They do this to people all the time. It's one of the attacks. This fabric is breathable. If you sweat, it's okay. It wicks it away from your body, so you will stay comfortable. But it will keep you warm because it reflects your body heat back to you. That's what the ceramic layer does. The reason this is important, other than the temperature control, is because it also blocks infrared detectors.
Is that what they're claiming with this?
They don't tell you, the brand name is so that people buy it because they want to stay warm in cold environments. I mean, you could take this stuff on, put it on, and walk out in the snow, and you're going to be like, la la la, because it reflects all your body heat back to you. Okay, and that's the selling point for these, the military and the government.
Can you pass one of those around?
Sure, yeah.
These two are the same, you said I just have
They're
that,
all
not
the same. It's
Same?
just a different color on there.
Fine.
The
this and this is the same, right?
yeah, the camouflage is for hunters and military. This is usually used by cops, SWAT teams and stuff. But it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. The selling point for them is it keeps you warm in a cold environment, and it can keep you cool in a warm environment. But the selling point for us is because it reflects your body heat back to you, the sensors they're using to detect you in the house, which are infrared, can't pick you up. They can't find you, they can't hit you. You're off the radar.
What they find is they can still find us, it helps us.
That's if you don't have, well, see, I mean, if you cover yourself like a mummy, they're not, they're not gonna be able to find you, but you're not gonna be very comfortable.
Yeah.
This keeps you comfortable enough to sleep,
Yeah.
okay? You can sleep in these things and be comfortable. But, your face is still gonna show, unless you get the gloves or the
It
socks.
reduces pain. I think to me, my pain with these clothing is if I have nothing out of it, it's really painful.
Mhm.
And the layers of this reduce pain. Like the pain is less with these ones.
Yes, it does work differently for different people, but if you put the hood, I don't know if you're using the hood,
Yeah.
you should use this hood, you're gonna see a significant drop in what hits you.
But my hood is like this. Sorry, it's a little bit dirty. It's a fair color. Same as yours.
Yeah, that's good.
Same.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the same kind.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
white color.
And where do you get it? Do you get it in Amazon
Does it
or?
You
Yeah,
can
Amazon.
get it
It has
online,
really-
you can get
It's
it,
not protecting, but it helps.
you can get it
You bite
online.
my lips, bite all the face, lips, have cover it, and it helps.
Okay.
Did you come up with this on your own, or did you read about this somewhere, and you just see this hanging up, and you're like, I'm gonna try it?
I don't remember what turned me on to this. I think it was basically that I wanted thermal underwear that was really good, and I tried it. But then when I realized how much it was blocking the other stuff, I said I have to tell people about this, because I saw how many other people were suffering from this.
Where do you buy that stuff?
Hunting stores like, Dick's has it, or Eastern Mountain Sports, or,
What's
hunting
it called?
fishing. It's called
Amazon.
Under Armour infrared. The tag should be going
Amazon.
around. There's a tag, you have to make sure it's that kind, because
eBay also.
they sell other ones that don't have this pattern. If it doesn't have infrared and the pattern, it's not the right stuff. They have something called cold gear, hot gear. You don't want that. You want infrared only. Okay?
Good. I got cold gear and infrared together.
Yes, they combine it, but the problem is they also sell it without the infrared. You want to make sure it says
Yeah, there might be
infrared
something
with
to
pattern.
this.
But if it says cold gear, it's fine.
No, you want it to say infrared.
Yeah.
Infrared.
Because the ones I got, it says both cold gear and infrared.
That's okay. That's what this is too. This is the same thing. It means there's two different technologies there, not one. But you want the infrared. You want it,
I'm buying a pen.
Yeah.
okay?
I can have a couple of pants, so feel free.
All right. So that's a big, big part of my system. Now, occasionally they will put lasers close enough to your house or maybe inside your house, and start hitting you internally or externally. Now, I will be very happy to show anybody who wants to dispute that I'm a targeted individual my burns. I woke up with this in July of 2010. I woke up with very evenly spaced radiation burns that go all the way up my arm. Okay? And I will be very happy to show anybody who questions my story these burns, because it's very hard to argue with how those got there. And, you know, let me show the camera. I want people to see this. I showed this to Jesse Ventura. All right. Whoops. Uh-oh, sorry. These burns are very evenly spaced on my body. There, there,
Hold on.
there, there,
Okay, now it's picking it up.
there. Go all the way up my arm.
Okay, give me just a second.
There, there. It's kind of faint, but there's one up there somewhere.
Hold on.
Those are not freckles, they're burns.
Okay.
They're burns.
Show it to the webcam here.
Where is it? There, 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 there. Somewhere up there, I can't really see. Somewhere up there. Anyway, those are my burns. I have other ones, but those are the ones that you cannot argue are unnatural. They're too evenly spaced across. Somebody decided to play. Somebody decided to try to frighten me into silence about 9/11 and the other activism that I do. Well, that wasn't the only time they burned me, but it was the last time they burned me in the naughty bits. And oh yes, they go there. They do like to go there. Now, at the time, I was taking apart a lot of metal things and scrapping them for money. And I noticed that the motors of these electronic things, like fans and microwaves, all had something in common. They had two magnets and a roll of copper wire
Is that right?
inside. Now, at the time, my dad and my husband were both having problems with their knees. And I saw these advertisements for this stuff called copperware, copper-infused clothing, which is designed to move the energy across the affected area and make you feel better if you sprain your elbow or your knee, you know, if you're athletic or whatever. So I got these things, and I said to myself, you know, I have back problems. Let me try to get one for my back, too. So I got these shorts. Now, this is all, you can't tell from looking at it, but it's got copper inside the clothing. Okay?
What is copper? Do they help to reduce the
It's
blood
because
flow or something?
it conducts electricity. See, this is an insulator. This insulates the body. It's got ceramic. Ceramic's an insulator. Like when you put a light bulb in, you're putting it into a ceramic thing, it's an insulator. This is a conductor. Copper is one of the best conductors. Another conductor that works very well is silver. And people will buy silver-infused curtains for their beds, okay, to make a Faraday cage. All right, but this stuff is clothing, okay, and it does tend to get a little on the expensive side, this stuff, because copper is pretty expensive. But if you take this and you're getting hit someplace and you put two magnets on either side, you're essentially building an electric field around yourself. The magnets will interact with each other, and the copper will conduct the energy, okay? It shields that part of your body from emitting its own magnetic signature. So again, this jams whatever they're trying to hit you with, okay? If they're trying to put you you know, if they're hitting you in the back, if they're hitting you in the chest, you buy a t-shirt of this, okay? And you put a couple of magnets, like there and there. If
See
you're
it.
getting hit on the nanas, which they love to do, because they're just all kinds of cool like that, you get the shorts, a couple of magnets on your hips. Goodbye. They will never hit you there again. Well, they can try.
I know, I
But
was
yeah,
gonna
but
say,
you-
I don't know about never, but maybe
No,
not that minute.
you will not feel it if you put this stuff on. Now, all of this stuff, very important, is cold water wash only. No fabric softeners, just soap. Okay? Because this is very special clothing, you don't want it to lose its properties. So no hot water on these, no fabric softeners. Do not put in the dryer, hang it only. Okay? It's a delicate fabric. And that goes for this too. All right? This is how you can get your lives back. From
So
these
if we have to wear
crazies.
everything is there, the copper shorts, the knee and the magnet together.
Yes. You're getting hit in a place, you get the piece of clothing that covers that place, and 2 magnets. Boom, boom. Done. You won't feel a thing. Especially if you put it over this stuff. You put this stuff on first. This is the insulator. Okay? Then you put this on. This is the conductor, but it goes around.
What are those socks?
These are for elbow or knee. Here. Now, mind you, these clothes are expensive. A piece like this will go for $45. The cami ones are more expensive. Sometimes you can get them on sale or after hunting season is over. This stuff is a degree more expensive than that. But it's worth it if you buy this stuff and you get your lives back. It will drive your perps crazy, well, crazier, to not be able to hurt you anymore. Then the joke's on them. Then you turn the tables.
I think they break into where I live.
Yes, they do that a lot. Black bag operations are constant. And,
So, I mean, if I'm protected by this, it doesn't do much good when they break in.
well, it does if they
Where
don't.
did I go?
Yeah, but all they have to do is pull it off, burn you, and walk out.
Well, that's the
And
thing. If
And
they're
they're also
in.
cloaked, so they just walk out.
Oh, let me just get my hands on one of those cloaks. I know about those. The light bending cloaks, I know about those.
Old school,
Just one time I'm gonna
That's
get one
what
of
they've
them.
been doing.
Old school video cameras.
Yeah.
old school black and white video cameras.
Cameras are very, very good, but one of the things is with cameras, and I'm gonna get a little computer geek on you,
They can take over the microprocessor and erase it.
not always. Wired systems are better than wireless, because wireless is easy to jam and hack, okay? Wired systems, what you have to watch for is them cutting the power to the building, which they do with me all the time. You have to have your cameras on a UPS. In fact, you should have everything electronic that you care about on a UPS, because another thing Homeland Security likes to do is send surges down the line and fry your electronics. They fried my refrigerator one year in the summertime. It was bad. Anyway, I think that's probably the last.
Can we go back to
No,
the,
I'm not done. I'm not done.
can we go back to one of the first pages?
Oh,
I
what would you like
didn't
to
get
see?
it very good.
Which one?
I think the first full written page.
Oh, the Dow Ching? There you go. What was happening then? The Dow Ching back. These are these timeless wisdom.
That's it.
Nobody can take this away from you. You keep it in your head and you always remember it. And when you run into something that doesn't make sense, somebody who's not behaving like a normal human being, they're doing something and you're going, why are they doing that to me? Or why are they doing that to the guy over there? If there is not enough compassion in their actions, maybe they're just having a bad day. Okay, fine. But if it just keeps happening and it's a pattern, you got yourself a perk. Now, a little bit more
Thank you.
No problem. This is called a Survive Outdoors Longer survival blanket. It is Mylar, but it's very heavy duty Mylar. It's made to be used over and over again. Because most of the survival blankets that you get, they're very cheap, but they're about as robust as tinfoil. They'll break, they'll rip. You know, this thing doesn't break. We have these hanging on a bunk bed all around, on 4 sides. We have another one across the top and another one across the bottom. So it's kind of like a half-assed Faraday cage after fashion. The thing about Mylar is you don't want to have it too close to your body because unlike these fabrics, it doesn't breathe. You get very, very hot and you end up cooking yourself like a burrito, and oh, they love that. You know, they know that you're suffering under there. Now, this came to our attention when there was discussion of what the insurgents in Iraq and Afghanistan were using to get away from people with the infrared, the FLIR, the FLIRs. These are handheld infrared detectors that they use, and they also have them on rifle scopes. And they were using this to find people in a house. Now, okay, maybe some of the people were insurgents, but some of them were just innocent people who just didn't want to be bothered. And they were using these and hiding under these things. You want to have the silver side toward you because it reflects, again, it reflects your body heat back to you. If you have the infrared clothing and this on, they are never going to find you.
How you, like, moving around, you cover yourself or something for the
Well,
sleep
but you
sickness?
have about 10 minutes to move around in the building before they settle on where you are. I found this out, I find it. And when I go under this, they start spazzing. What they'll do, Homeland Security will be like turning on lights remotely to try to find me. They'll ping a signal off of the heating pipes in the building, and I'll hear it like pinging, looking for me. You know, it's funny because it follows me around the building, the pinging, and it'll happen even though it's not wintertime and the heat's not coming up. But you'll hear it go ping, 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 ping. See, the problem is I live only a few blocks away from Webb Institute, which is a national academy for the Navy. And these guys have made me a project, apparently. And they rigged up my house so that it will ping the heating pipes wherever I go and follows me around. And I can tell that they can't find me when I go under this because it starts pinging like crazy. It could be June, it could be July, it could be 110 degrees in the shade, and my heating pipes are going ding, 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 ding. So, yeah, this works to keep them from hitting you and keep them from finding you.
And what's the brand name?
SOL.
Heard of it.
It technically stands for Survive Outdoors Longer because we don't want to say shit out of line.
Find those on eBay. Those are on eBay pretty cheap.
Yeah, you can get this for $22 to $25 online.
What's the name of that?
SOL, Survive Outdoors Longer. Is the name on there.
See, if I have an office chair, I want to sit and work, then do a stick around it, because at the bed we can put it like a blanket or something, but
Well, what I would suggest for you is getting these, getting the Tupperware, okay? And this is much less flamboyant. Nobody's going to make fun of you because nobody's going to see this, you know?
actually I'm wearing it, right?
Right, and you want to put it on over this. Put this on first, then this, and maybe a couple magnets. And that brings me to my next part of this, is the magnets. Now, back when I discovered about the magnets, I didn't have a lot of money coming in. I still don't. So what I started doing, I was scrapping metal, and people would throw stereo speakers away. They do this all the time. Stereo speakers have powerful, powerful magnets. This is an oil filter that I also was using one time for my heart, just because it was the right size. Metal also stops the lasers, but this other stuff works better. Very strong magnets on every speaker. You can get them in all different sizes and use them around your bed And this is a way you can get magnets without having to pay for them. Because people throw these away, you know? These are magnets from a microwave. Actually, these things are being used against us. Sometimes they'll put these things, they'll rig them up, and they'll have them shooting into the house. But these have very powerful magnets as well. If you're lucky, sometimes you can get a microwave magnet to come off. It's not easy. This is one of those. Very powerful magnet. I have a pair of these, and I'll put one.
Those right there, they're off a magnetron? What's that right there?
That's from a microwave. If you look at the bottom of that little grid, there's a couple little chips on there. This one broke. Watch out. But that's a very powerful magnet that came out of a microwave rig like that, because sometimes they're easier or harder to take apart. Get these magnets or buy neodymium magnets. You know, you can buy those too.
So these are more powerful than neodymium, is there?
Yeah, I would say so. The thing about these two is that you can tell from the way that they're placed on the stuff what the polarity is, what the direction is. You do not want to point these the wrong way. Okay, this being a speaker, the stuff is supposed to go out from the cone, okay? So, you do not want to be Devo. Devo doesn't work. Don't do Devo, because Devo points everything right back to your head and you will get cooked. You don't want that. You want it pointing away from you. Same with this. This is the direction it's supposed to go. So you want it pointing away from you, not towards you.
What are you doing?
It doesn't have a waveguide on it, it'll just, you just feel the radiation come off.
You will feel it if you put it the wrong way, if you put any magnet the wrong way.
I mean the magnetron.
Oh, this thing? No, it doesn't, nothing happens because there's no current. There's no current, but the magnet inside, see this little round thing here is the magnet. And there's another one up there, okay?
Now, there is a highly toxic material in this purple ray. You should not take the top of this up, but
Beryllium,
Mm-hmm,
very toxic,
okay.
deadly actually.
But the magnets are very useful. If you can get the magnets out, and I did manage to get one apart, those magnets are awesome. They are very, very useful. You need to use them preferably in pairs. You want to have a big space between, let's put them on shoulders or hips, head and heart. And the last piece of my countermeasure, which is, you know, the tinfoil hat crowd's going to love this, is a tinfoil hat. Well, it's not really a tinfoil hat. It's a helmet. I am a medieval reenactor. I go, you know, my husband and I met this way. We met doing Renaissance fairs, and he's a fencer, and I brew mead, and we love the Middle Ages. It's an interesting piece of history to study. And so I have things like shields and helmets.
where'd you get that?
I got this at Cloisters at the Ren Fair in September. This was $50. Okay, you can buy these things online. It's 12 gauge solid steel. It will completely protect your brain pan. If you're really being screwed with, get you one of those. Get one of those. You use that in combination with the hood, the Under Armour hood. Nothing's gonna hit your head. Nothing.
Maybe they can find us. I think the brain they use to frequencies they used to find.
You feel
Yes.
Can they find us if we put this?
They have to work very, very hard to get past all of that.
Yeah, I think it will be good. So if we put and walk around, maybe they can find us.
That will block pretty much everything. The hot and cold attack, the muscle cramp attack,
Yes.
the one where they're actually trying to project dreams. I don't know how many of you have been hit with that. You'll have this really like freaky dream,
Yeah, you always.
and that protects that. Usually when you get the projected dream thing, the back of your head is going to be very hurty. The cerebellum part of your brain gets
That's what
hit
they
very
hit me
hard
with.
with that.
That's where they hit me all the time, right here.
Right,
yeah.
But it doesn't go
Um,
away for about 12 hours.
One of the ways that the voice to skull and other verbalized harassment happens, they're hitting you in this part, right above your left ear. And a lot of people have complained that it's ringing in the left ear very badly, because this part of your brain controls your speech. So if they're trying to talk to you with voice to skull, hits you right here. If they're doing the dream thing, back of the head. Back of the head hurts real bad.
That side of my head is fried, if you can notice it.
Yeah. I mean, they've been doing the electric stuff to you
There's
since
like no way I can block it, but
that
I guess I
block
could
it.
try that.
And the hood. Get the hood, the infrared hood. Okay? You use those two things, and you're gonna see such a world of difference.
It can't hurt. Where do I buy one of those?
That's like $50. If you go to the Ren Fair, there's a big Renaissance fair at Cloisters in Upper Manhattan. I believe it's the second week of September, and it's a one-day fair. It's only on Sunday.
What's that thing called?
That's a Spangen helm, but you can get any helm that works for you and covers your brain pan. As long as it covers it. I mean, sometimes I'll even use it backwards because the eye and nose goggle thing covers the back a little bit more. It's a kind of a pain in the butt to sleep in, but if they're really hitting you hard and you want to get sleep, that'll work.
What do you call that thing? A Spang what?
It's a Spangen helmet. It's a Viking helmet. There's a particular, there's all different kinds. We just had one because our personas are Vikings. We like to do Viking, so. I also have a shield, which I didn't bring because it's kind of big. But that shield is actually my husband's old shield, and it's got aircraft grade aluminum. Steel, aluminum, silver, and copper are all conductors of electricity, but they block it because they get in the way. If you have the insulator underneath, that's even better, because your own personal energy field is not affected by anything that's going on outside.
And where did I get the other magnets?
Well, these are free ways that you can get them, but you can also buy them. And I think the kind is neodymium or something.
Neodymium,
Yeah, that's it.
eBay.
Yeah, you can get them on eBay or, some places sell them.
Is there a way to get these microwave magnets anywhere?
You gotta break them apart. I mean, I found one, I found them at the curb and people.
If they
were
have
like-
beryllium in them, if you breathe in the dust, it's very harmful.
Okay, and you said it's in the purple, the middle part there?
John,
Yeah.
I got a couple left, I don't know what happened to them.
Because I didn't do that, I just took the frame apart and got the magnet off.
It's a ceramic magnet, the beryllium and the ceramic magnets
Mhm.
are very toxic.
That's what I need, more toxic. But I hope this helps you guys. I hope, I really,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want
Thank
to
you.
put these bastards down. I want them,
Thank you very much.
these are cowards, these are bullies.
They're terrorists.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
terrorists.
that's what I
Yes, they are.
Do you have an email address, website, some kind of contact?
I'm on Facebook as Eileen Coles. I'm all over the Facebook. I use Facebook almost every day.
Yeah, but I mean, do you have a little more direct way for somebody to get a
Here's
hold of
my-
you, like an email or something?
If you guys want my card, I have, this is my
Yeah.
business card, but I mean,
Oh, yeah,
it has my
sure,
phone number
sure.
and email if you want it. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Here, I'll just pass them out.
Yes, thank you.
I'm a computer person by trade. My father was an electrical engineer. My grandfather was a mechanic. I am a technical person.
What kind of IT services do you do?
Yes, everything. I'm a hack of all trades.
Oh, it's your turn.
I have 30 years in the business, hardware, software, networking,